everyone on our YouTube live channel, and Tashidele to Khenpo Gyurme, the Tergar Institute faculty, and the Prajñāpāramitā module cohort members of the Institute joining us on Zoom. Welcome to the Diamond Sutra Hour Transmission event. I'm Kayin, and I'm honored to be a host today. The Diamond Sutra is one of the most profound teachings on emptiness and wisdom in Mahayana Buddhism. In the Tibetan Buddhist tradition, receiving oral transmission or loan from an authorized teacher is considered essential for connecting with the sacred text blessings, allowing the teachings to take root in one's mind stream. Please note that oral transmission must be received in real time. While today's event will remain available on YouTube, the reading transmission will be edited out. We will now begin with the recitation of refuge and bodhicitta and 4 immeasurable chants. We will chant them 3 times, twice in Tibetan and once in English. Sangye chedam soki chunam la Jangshu Badu Dagni Gyapsu Chi Dagi Jinso Gipe Sonam I Jola Benchir Sangye Trupasho Sangye Chedam Toki Chonam la Jangshu Badu Dagni Gyapsu Chi Dagi Jinso Gipe Sonam Gi Jola Benchir Sangye Drupasho. In the Buddha, Dharma, and Supreme Assembly, I take refuge until enlightenment is achieved. May the merit of my generosity and other virtuous deeds lead to Buddhahood for the welfare of all beings. Demche tamche devadam Dewe Gyudang Dempar Guchu Dugyadam Dugyagi Gyudang Drawa Guchu Dugyam Epere Warapa Dami Drawa Guchu Yering Chakdang Hidang Drawe Dang Yom Chepola Nepar Gyuchi Sem Chen Tam Che Dewadang Dewe Gyudang Nepar Gyuchi Dugyadam Dugyagi Gyudang Drawa Gyuchi Dugyam Epere Varapa Dami Drawa Gyuchi Nyering Chakdang Hidang Drawe Dang Yom Chepola Nepar Gyuchi. May all sentient beings have happiness and its causes. May they be free from suffering and its causes. May they never be parted from sublime bliss, free from suffering. May they dwell in great equanimity, free from attachment and aversion to those near and far. Before we begin, here's a quick overview of today's program. We will start with a recorded teaching from Mingyur Rinpoche at Khenpo Gyurme, monastic faculty of Tergar Institute and abbot of Tergar Osaling Monastic College, will then offer a teaching and commentary, followed by the oral transmission of the sutra. Next, Justin Kelly, co-executive director of Tergar Institute, will share insights from a scholar practitioner perspective. If time permits, we'll take a few questions. You can submit your questions to info@tergarinstitute.org. The email is also available in the YouTube chat. We will conclude with a guided meditation by Tunma Tunsang Palmo, the contemplative faculty at Tergar Institute. Now, let's begin with a teaching from Mingyur Rinpoche. In this teaching, Rinpoche offers a precious introduction to the Diamond Sutra and its connection to Prajñāpāramitā wisdom.
Now, when we discuss the text itself, most of the time, like ancient style in this text, they talk about the 5 perfections, like environment, the teacher, student, time, and the teaching itself. So these 5 things discussed. So here in this Diamond Sutra, so the place is Sarvasti. So Sarvasti is the Buddha spent the longest time after the enlightenment. He stayed there and did give a lot of teachings, and also the summer rainy retreat. He spent a lot of time there. So one morning, Buddha was morning wake up and then went to begging around the nearby there. There's a village and town. Then Buddha come back, sit on the cushion, and with the mindfulness of body, mind, and the most important is Buddha rests in the Prajñāpāramitā, the wisdom of emptiness. So now here, the environment is very nice. It's kind of like a little bit like forest with kind of like monastery environment, and there's a community of sangha members, monks, nuns. So in the text said maybe 2050 sangha members, and then a lot of bodhisattvas. Bodhisattva meaning lay practitioners. So some of them not bhikshu and bhikshuni, but they are practicing on the path and special, like develop bodhicitta, and some of them are noble bodhisattva, like the Avalokiteshvara, Manjushri, something like that. So great enlightened bodhisattvas. So Buddha is having the meal, because it's kind of like maybe breakfast, maybe brunch, could be breakfast, lunch together. And then after finish meal, and there's of course the bhikkhu and lay practitioner also they're gathering. Then one of the Buddha's disciples, Subhūti, asked Buddha about the practice. And this is related with the question, eventually related with the Prajñāpāramitā. So now here, with this, through this story, like where the place called Sarvasti, the excellent environment, the first excellent second, it shows the to whom, the teaching to whom. So there's 2050 monastic sanghas and the lay bodhisattvas. All these are there to whom. And then by who? Of course, Buddha Shakyamuni. So to whom is the retinue, excellent retinue, and who is the teacher? Is the Buddha Shakyamuni itself. When the time is like Buddha went begging ball, arms round, then after that Buddha began to teach, the perfect time. And then what is teaching? So number 5 is the teaching of the Prajñāpāramitā itself. So these 5 excellence discussed here at the beginning of the text. So now the Subhūti asked Buddha the most important question. So the question is the root for everything, root for free all the suffering, and to have the lasting happiness, the real happiness, to achieve nirvana, fully enlightened. So what is the most important practice? Please, Buddha, teach us. So we all the bodhisattvas, all the Sangha members, lay practitioners, and all who really want to engage to free from suffering, fully enlightened, what is the main important teaching? So then Buddha said, actually the most important teaching is the bodhicitta, the beginning of kind of like entrance of the path for enlightenment is the bodhicitta. So Buddha said, actually you need to develop this loving kindness, compassion to all beings, maybe humans, animals, and maybe different realms. The beings who have life, beings who kind of like understand, can think, can communicate. Maybe beings cannot really fully think and fully communicate. So normally what Buddha said is, there are universes, maybe parallel universe. The beings are non-limit. Universe has no boundary. Actually no beginning, no end. But it's here now. But when you really look at them, even now, present, you cannot find it. When you look beginning, you cannot find. When you look at the end, you cannot find. Even in the present, you cannot find it. Yet, it exists, what we call like conceptual manifestation exists. So concepts is not just idea level. It has feeling. It has imprint. So through the imprints, then manifest this body, time, the universe. So all these beings that I want to liberate this bondage based on fixation mind manifestation, then we bound ourselves with time, matter, subject, object, being born, getting old, sick, death. So I want to free. So that is very important to create kind of like will bodhicitta, meaning will. I want to lead to all beings, to lead to the full awakening. Right? So my question to all of you, can you do that or no? Of course not, right? Now forget about helping all beings. I cannot help myself. Or even to help one person, two person, also difficult. So it's out of question. I cannot do that now. So then now what we call application bodhicitta. So the first one, what you inspire, is what we call aspiration bodhicitta. Yes, I want to lead all beings to the enlightenment, but I don't have that capacity. So then what I can do, the second one is application, meaning now I need to create that cause and condition. So that's what we call application bodhicitta. So actually, application bodhicitta is the practice of the 6 paramitas that we will discuss later. So now here, one very interesting is, Buddha said, you have to generate that all living beings, the beings who have life, to lead to the enlightenment. But yet, actually, there's no beings. There's no life. There's no person. And you have to remember that. You have to practice. No beings, no enlightenment, no suffering, no person, no you. And rest with that. Rest with that. So now here, the special unique practice is engaging in the relative level, loving kindness, compassion, develop this intention that I really want to help all beings to lead to the enlightenment. At the same time, the ultimate, that actually all beings just like dream. I'm like dream. Even the bodhicitta is like dream. And through that we can develop loving kindness, compassion, bodhicitta even greater. So all these beings, we are not recognized. Suffering is just like dream. Samsara is just like dream. The cycle of existence is just like dream. But we are not recognized. We create real existence. Then it has effect. So we trap. We all trap with the subject and object, with the concept, with the time and the matters. Oh, So when you develop bodhicitta, loving kindness, compassion, bodhicitta, based on the reason is emptiness, without recognizing emptiness. Unnecessary suffering. Create person of subject and object, time and the matter, and suffer in samsara, then loving kindness, compassion become boundless, the bodhicitta, because there's no fixation of the real. So that's the first important, the most important teaching for the Bodhisattva. And Buddha taught this, the first teaching here in the Diamond Sutra.
Thank you, Rinpoche. And next, we will hear a teaching and commentary from Khenpo Gyurme, followed by the oral transmission of the Diamond Sutra. Many of you may already be familiar with Khenpo, but for those new to him, here's a brief introduction. Khenpo Gyurme is the monastic faculty of Tergar Institute and abbot of Tergar Usaling Monastic College. Born in Tibet, he spent 12 years studying at the monastic college at Sherabdi Monastery in northern India. In 2010, he was given the title of Khenpo and joined Mingyur Rinpoche in Nepal as the first abbot of Tergar Usaling Monastic College. Khenpo will be teaching in Tibetan with consecutive English translation by Joseph Faria, a member of Tergar Institute Translation Faculty. Without further ado, let us now invite Khenpo Gyurme and Joseph. Let us now invite Khenpo Gyurme to share his precious teachings and offer the oral transmission. Khenpo La and Joseph La, please.
Oh, Tashidele, everybody. And it's Amalia, Shogedele, Gomodele, Ningondele Shayins.
So I would like to extend my auspicious greetings to everyone, and good morning, good afternoon, good evening to all of you.
Tene, that reto the Heritage part of the Chimbata, Doji Jobaka long. Mandaya the Jire, teach the Tachidan, Ania, Heritage part of the Chimba Doji Jobaland, Tene, Jeta Sanji, Jamden Deki, Tene Chu. That Dojik, Samba to Tumbek Goni. Tene ya Chuchin Namdong Ram and the Mambo, Chisang Yobek and Nane, then they zo Tombani Tembek Dojatas on the Chebe. And Tombani get turned to Nimundo Duni, then Yanjugus, and the something is Chadiores.
So the main thing for today is going to be our transmission, which is based on the Diamond Sutra, right, or the Prajñāpāramitā. So this oral transmission. And along with that, we can talk about the Diamond Sutra and the Prajñāpāramitā as one of the many different kinds of teachings that the Buddha gave. So among these various kinds of teachings here, we have basically a summarization of emptiness, right? So the main point here is this summarization of emptiness.
Then Deleta, Heritage part of the Chimba Dorji Joba, Sita, Doji Jobal and the Doji Think Yabare, Doji Ledita, Jedon, Yamda Mepa, then it's Jura Mepa, then Cheta, Caroloruk, Chirong, Cheleg, and Nubanda, Yanangubu Yen, Tamji Pala, Jump Tobala. And the running over Yankee Jam Nibata, Tinda Vachel, Doji and Songyore, and the dead on Tomba, Cheta Doji Jabala, young din on it, some Yanjo, Samo Tombani Catando, and the Tombani, Gum, Tombani, Tobike, and the Sheret Tazote, Che Nyamomba, Taje Semge, Yula Yubeke, Gangado, Dongarado, and Yamo Tomji Pat Jambala, then top to Demba, Niba to Demba, or Tenechi Yimba. 어제 녀몽바도 말해볼로 도서기 아니 대추 좀 내봐 어떤지 인비기 차네 아니 생들이야 도지 줘발은 생들 다 요래서 양들.
So here in the context of the Diamond Sutra, right? It starts off with the title, right? So it has this word in it, diamond, which in Tibetan is dorje. So when we talk about a dorje, this refers to something that is indestructible, something that is unchanging, right? Something which has a particular ability or power to cut through other things, but other things cannot cut through itself, right? So basically, what is taught in this text here is emptiness, right? So through meditating on emptiness and then gaining the wisdom of realizing emptiness, then we are able to cut through all of our negative emotions, cut through all of our mental afflictions, our mental problems, and so forth. So this is the kind of power of cutting through that this diamond possesses. And so this is what the title of the sutra is based on. Vasola.
On it. And then on it, 다 내게 양다가 다 원이 샤브서 된다 쪼라고도 다 힘부 저전 힘부라고도 가르된 거를 되나래 되네 다 사모 동반이 라이드 땡겨요래 되네다 사모 동반이 라이드 단 디노네 간다지 땡거를 되단 도나 제 다다 나랑소가 나오게工作그 추 안에 제 간다지 얘네야 너서 탐지 제 농 이연들 제 나랑소가 다다 제 덴바 따버지 농거 요래 무슨 여바 따버지 농거 요래 될래 제 농 이연들 농거 채나야 근데 더서 던지 농 많이 제 많이 바게 제 농 많이 그 덴바 여바 많이 봐 제 밀람 따버 gyoma tabo, 대형 제 동반이 연바. 아니, 다 딘지지 저저 쪼버진데 땡겨요래.
So here in this text, the main or essential topic that is discussed is basically this topic of profound emptiness. And basically, this is talking about all of the relative phenomena that appear to us, no matter what kind of phenomena that is appearing to us, right? These phenomena may appear as though they are real, may appear as though they are existing directly before us. But even though they are appearing in that way, these phenomena are not real or true in the way that they appear to us, but rather they are like a dream, like an illusion, right? So this is the main teaching that we find in this text, which is the teaching of emptiness. Vasala.
아니 다가 나이 제단게 다 상제가 람 대레제 다 건조지 온도 제벨랑도 단다지 온도 제벨랑 제 건조지 온도 제야나 제르제 응바조 바 상제 다 가론 속이지 아 자동 그 잡아 너서 단지 마 다야기 제도를 되네 수남지 초 빼나야 젬베기 냠래 초대기 냠래 대라소베기 되네 제 파르트 쳔바 저그 냠래라서 바도서 단지 망보 제 손지가 탑기 쳔 망보지 선 요래들 단 니노네 되네 탑게 쳔랑 냠래 빼나 젬바도 초대다와 임바 있나요 게 지동게 찬이 초사가 좀 말이 계획이 잡아래 뱀마스비 옌페지 아니야지 레가 된지 레디요 레텔레 얘나요 대다 임바 얘나요 제 똥바니 그 라발레 만데 바제도 대소 탐비요 제 짐바 얘나요 제 짐바 짐비게 살람 마도바 소템 얘나요 소템 뭐 마도바 아니 대요 제 짐발레 대요 제 여바요 마이 매바요 마이 니가요 마이 니미요 마이 레드 다 이양 다 제일인데 봐 제 아니 제 가르려고 그렇지 짐바 똥야데 개바 라나 메바지 레텔레 얘나요 개바 라나 메바 대 이엔돌레 개바 라나 메바 대요 개바 라나 메비 ngol 마도바 어 된지 임바치마 제 똥반지 쪼버치네마 아니 sonde battere chagyorez
So generally, when it comes to the path of the Buddha, right, relatively, we talk about the path for becoming a perfect Buddha, right? So in order to purify our negative emotions, to purify our afflictions such as attachment and aversion, right? Relatively, we engage in all of these various methods that the Buddha taught, right? Such as the practice of generosity, the practice of discipline, and so forth, right? So even in the case, however, when we talk about practicing generosity or practicing discipline, right, it is true on the one hand that such practices create so much merit and so much virtue and so much benefit for sentient beings. But at the same time, even something like the practice of generosity, right, cannot exist outside the sphere of emptiness, right? it itself is empty of inherent existence. It does not inherently exist as generosity, right? So we say it does not exist, nor is it non-existent, nor is it both existent and non-existent, nor is it neither of those, right? But rather it is free from all such extremes, right? So even though generosity creates all of this merit, at the same time, even that merit is not inherently existent. So this is what is taught within this text. La sola.
Dene 제동의 제야나 다 나랑초가 다다 롱 차동도 제도 나랑초가 ngoni son도 동야나 개와 마개와스 가시 개와이나 아니 제 대백인 되면 진기 제당 아니 제 마개와 많이 빠지니 거그래 대인데 개와도 마개와라야 제게 니 여대바지리 아니 다가나에 가시 나랑초가 다다 롱을 친 차동도 제야나 여바동 매바스 대인데 니추제 차대게 요래 나랑초가 로라 니추제 마도 차토게 요 말이 니추레온도 여바 요나 매바 여바이나 매바 많이 거야 매바이나 여바 많이 거야지 대인데 제 나랑초 그 샘노네 고제 여나 매 마송화제다 매나 여마송화제 딘지제근 전동제 마도 차토게 요마 대가이즈는 나랑초 롱 초회게 왕그래 다 얘는요 아니야 당읍에 내서 거롱읍에 내서 그 돌이 요동도 제 야나 제 계획이 전소라서 봐야나요다 머게와게 제 디바도 아니 제다 샤와 저방연바야나요다 동념게 제다 라도라와 다도 콘젤라서 봐야나요다 또 탐지때 제 나로조 로긴 창을라 여바 매바 던지지 마던 차토고요 말에도 거롱읍에 내서 그 토들라 네 징아롱 롱 차반 나기게 여바를 해서나 여바요 말이스 하나 여바만이나 배드 매반다오지 땡이네 매반다오 땡이 던지지를 해서는 대형 말이스 대인데 징아롱 속 로그 삼발레 네바지 누비네서 그 토레 어떤지 차도요레 상다 대 조땡을 파 송야바지 차도요레스
So generally, we think about things from this point of view coming from our afflictions, right? Attachment and aversion. And so when we're thinking in this way, we tend to think in terms of dualistic categories, right? Such as virtue on the one hand and non-virtue on the other hand, right? Positive and negative, right? So when we think of something being virtuous, right? We think, oh, virtue means it results in happiness. And then when we think about something being non-virtuous, we think non-virtue results in unhappiness, right? And then we have other dualistic categories like existence and non-existence, right? So we think that either something has to exist or it has to not exist. It has to be one or the other. And as long as it's one, it cannot be the other, right? So this thinking of something as either necessarily existent or necessarily non-existent is our own deluded way of thinking about things, right? But actually, in terms of reality itself, right, it's not really like that, right? When we talk about things like virtue, virtuous actions, non-virtuous actions, neutral actions, right? Our mind may take these things as being either existent or non-existent, but in actuality, in reality, these things are not existent, but nor are they non-existent. Rather, the reality of these things transcend our conceptual mind, right? They go beyond what we could possibly think about them. So this is what is taught here in this text. La sola.
라서 제대로 딱 나랑조 다다친 코로나 논도는 참 렌나조 사대 그 짜반다부터 가를 토도 요래래도 아니 제 나랑조 출 출발에 간지 세나 양나 여봐 양나 매봐 양나 댐바 양나 좀바 디 양나 개바 양나 매개바 다 딘디 제ik 마도 로노 형게요 말에 샘노 딘디 제기 닌지 잡보지 닌지 아니 디왕기 아니 젠가헬 좀본 가헬 냠바다 딘디 제긴 좀발라 때네 아니 레나 잡보기 사네 코와노는 참 초대기 요도 다 딘디기 젠 코베근 추분 노아텔 자야라 딘닌지긴 좀바도 조고요 다 딘닌지긴 좀바도 조야라 가르치 고요를 레드타나레 되네 용급이 내처 여바요마이 매바요마이 니가요마이 니미요마이 바게 다 탐지는 데베게 오버마 아니야 댐바 네로 ndezile ku nguzon do traba di tande le songo to di tande to na oda dene eni ninji ku trwa de le jorne dene da ninji ku trwa ge dene sabe ke le di junchi odu le ke no ke ani ko bin tono do tonjin nabden tato ke ne ya nyangin de be kombole to tayores o dene chi songo yore.
So then, what is the root or basis of this wandering in samsara that we find ourselves in? Well, that would be our own delusion, right? And when we talk about delusion here, this delusion refers to taking something as either existent or non-existent, as either true or false, as either virtuous or non-virtuous, right? So something that falls outside of those dualistic categories doesn't fit within our mental schematic, right? Our conceptual schematic. And so when we have that kind of dualistic grasping, that results in us accumulating karma. And because of that, we continue to wander throughout samsara. So what do we need to do to free ourselves from this condition? Well, we need to free ourselves from this dualistic grasping, right? So for that, we need to realize that reality as it is free from all of these extremes of existence and non-existence. It is free from any kind of fixation or reification that we have about it. And so when we free ourselves from this dualistic perception, then we free ourselves from the accumulation of karma and we are able to attain nirvana. So that is basically what is taught here in the text. Lasola.
Hola, so to see. Tane, tanga to tere ma long de ma jin de yin. Tande long le du, ta chito long ju le du, cheta tamba sanji cham den de chi song. Ane te song yang ju ki jin jo hloma to so tom ji ki ma rembe yin do le. Ane chi hloma jine ma ten yon du. Ta tata pa do lo kor chi jupa pa ma che ba. Le yun jo tene de wo chi cha de gi yo re. O te yin du ta ti long de nge tere. Ane ma den re. Te long de be kap so la, ane chi namba ki 계신데 인지 도지 양지 빼세요는 냠도 마타나 용지 안에 안지 요래 근데 미나요 대체나 아니 지 공호 담보지 공호 정보지키 근데 소소도 야지 강념네 제 동반이 기타는 성로 또 동반이 기타는 제바제네 강념네 제네 딩야 되는 데 요래.
So now I will give the oral transmission of the text. And the oral transmission here basically refers to this unbroken connection of what was taught by the Buddha being passed down through the generations of disciples, from one disciple to another. And so now I will give this oral transmission to all of you. And so if you have an English translation of the text, then feel free to read along as I give the oral transmission. And otherwise, if you don't have the text with you, then that's fine. You can just give rise to a positive motivation in your heart, and then you can contemplate on the meaning of emptiness. You can meditate on emptiness and then listen to the oral transmission as it's being given. That is perfectly fine. Lasso. Thank you, everyone. The oral transmission is now complete. And so, once again, the main topic that is taught within the Diamond Sutra is basically the view that takes everything as being like a dream, like an illusion, right? Like the wavering flashing of starlight of a lamp and so forth. And so it is said that when we practice with this text and contemplate on the meaning of the text, it results in a boundless amount of merit being accumulated from it. Lasso.
라소 도지체.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Khenpo.
Thank you.
Thank you for a precious teaching and for offering the oral transmission. It is truly auspicious to receive the blessings of this sacred sutra. And thank you, Joseph La, for the translation. Now, I'd like to invite Justin Kelly, Co-Executive Director of Tergar Institute, to share his insights from a scholar practitioner perspective. Justin has been a long-time student of Mingyur Rinpoche and holds a PhD from Rice University's Department of Religion, where he studied with Dr. Anne Klein. His dissertation focused on Longchenpa's ontology of purity within the Great Perfection. Justin's teaching philosophy emphasizes transformative learning and applied pedagogies. Over to you, Justin.
Thank you very much, Kaim. Pleasure to be here with everyone. Such an honor to take part in an event like this. Profound teachings from Rinpoche, wonderful commentary from Khenpo, such generosity. But yeah, just an overall pleasure to be here with you. So I thought I'd contextualize what I'll do over the next 10 minutes or so. And it's basically to give those who are participating via YouTube a taste of what we do at the Tergar Institute. And the way that we engage is through what we call cycles of inquiry. And these cycles of inquiry include teachings from Rinpoche, commentary from senior teachers at Tergar Osaling, context and interpretation through international scholars like myself, and then contemplative practices through our contemplative faculty. And Summa Kunzan Palmo will highlight this element coming up. And so here we're taking that and basically condensing it into a single session, which is quite sweet. But as is often the case at the Institute, I want to begin by reflecting together. And I want to think for a few minutes or kind of rest into maybe a meditative state, or at least a contemplative state, and just reflect on right now, as you're experiencing yourself, what frame of reference are you experiencing yourself through? So for example, Rinpoche mentioned and Khenpo reiterated this idea of the extremes of existence and non-existence. And so is there a subtle belief that you as a singular unified person are here now? Or maybe after listening to Khenpo and Rinpoche, there's a questioning of that existence, and you might be thinking, I don't exist. I am empty. And regardless of really what you're experiencing, I think it's important at each stage of the path, no matter where you're practicing, studying, engaging, no matter where you are in the world, is to take moments like this and reflect on these profound teachings. We have to understand a real fundamental piece of this is that in our lineage, the Kagyu tradition of Tibetan Buddhism, or we could say the Indian Tibetan Buddhist tradition, teachings are never given for abstract curiosity. And it might seem that way, right? You might seem to read esoteric texts that don't pertain to your life, and that's just not the case. When teachers like the historical Buddha and the future Maitreya Buddha and all these great scholars, Asanga and Chandrakirti and Shantidewa, when they were teaching for pragmatic concerns. They were teaching to free us from suffering. And so that's the frame of reference. And so I think moments like this are really critical to touch in and to take teachings like this and right there in the moment to reflect on how they might inform how you're being in the world. And then another pragmatic point, or maybe to take something that might seem abstract and bring it into our experience, if we think back to Mingyur Rinpoche's lovely teaching today, he was talking about the 5 perfections. So the perfect time, place, teacher, teaching, and the perfect audience or student. And so we can understand this opportunity together as fulfilling those 5 perfections. That the perfect time is right here now on Zoom, a very 21st century perfect time. The perfect place is same, right? We're able to engage in this digital way. The perfect teacher, Mingyur Rinpoche, has transmitted this lineage to us, and then Khenpo has provided this wonderful oral transmission and commentary. The perfect teaching, in this case being the Diamond Sutra and the Prajñāpāramitā literature more broadly. And then the perfect audience, meaning us. And this is where we might get caught, right? We might think, well, I can get the first 4. But that 5th one, the perfect audience, that's not me, that's somebody else. And I can really empathize with that sentiment, this self-doubt that can arise. But I also want to go back to what Mingyur Rinpoche's first teaching of today, right? What are we doing in the Prajñāpāramitā literature? What's the core of the Prajñāpāramitā literature? It's bodhicitta. And so this is where there's practices we can engage in to fulfill this wish and aspiration to become the perfect audience. And so this is by giving rise to, as Rinpoche explained, aspiration bodhicitta, this wish to reach Buddhahood for the benefit of all beings. And then to use the practices that he's introducing and Khenpo's introducing here as means for engaging in that. So in the Prajñāpāramitā literature, that's oftentimes described through the 6 paramitas. But slowly we infuse our approach. We infuse our way of being in the world with this ideal of bodhicitta, and we're able to achieve this state of being the perfect audience. And so I really encourage you to, again, take what may seem like an abstract teaching and bring it directly into experience. We play with these teachings in the Institute, as I'll oftentimes say. We dig into them, we understand them for ourselves in our own frame of reference. Really critical. So just to speak a couple minutes about the body of literature that we're looking at today. So as we've been exploring over the semester at the Institute, the Prajñāpāramitā is a vast body of literature, and it contains a whole range of texts, the core of which are attributed to the historical Buddha, like in the Diamond Sutra. But with the Prajñāpāramitā, I like to reflect on the great 20th century poet and novelist Gertrude Stein, when someone asked where LA is, and he said, well, there's no there, right? And so in the Prajñāpāramitā literature, there's similarly no there, and it is everywhere. And so there's this way that these paradoxes can help to inform how we engage with the literature. And luckily in our tradition, as is the case, regardless of the topic that we're engaging, these great historical teachers and authors have scaffolded these teachings. And so in the case of the Prajñāpāramitā literature, the primary text that we study in our tradition, going back to the 4th century, is a text transmitted or revealed by the future Buddha Maitreya to a Sangha in the 4th century. And so this is called the Abhisamaya Lankara, or the ornament of clear realization. And so this is the way that we in the Tibetan tradition, in the Kagyu tradition, the way that we relate to Prajñāpāramitā literature. But no matter where you engage across this, whether it's the very pithy Heart Sutra, or a text that's slightly longer like the Diamond Sutra, and on up to the 25,000 and 100,000 verses of the Prajñāpāramitā literature, it is everywhere. They're communicating the same teaching. And so we might ask, what is the Prajñāpāramitā in this way? Why is it useful to study, to practice, to engage with, to look at? And one metaphor I like to use is understanding it as a bridge. And this bridge functions in many different ways. The bridge functions, we might say, philosophically, if you will, between Buddha nature and emptiness, or fullness and emptiness, which is really core. And Mingyur Rinpoche mentioned this, that if our understanding of emptiness is that there is nothing, an eternal voidness, then we're misunderstanding. As Mingyur Rinpoche likes to say, emptiness is possibility. So it is fullness. It is Buddha nature. It is this fundamental quality that we all possess. The literature is also dialogical, or it's written in conversation. So this literature is a bridge between here, the historical Buddha and some of his disciples, namely Subhūti, who's asking questions. And this dialogic ends up really informing the way that we understand these teachings on emptiness, preventing us from falling into the extremes, as Khenpo had mentioned. So it's a bridge also between analysis, or maybe what we might understand as deconstruction. If you're familiar with Madhyamaka literature, oftentimes we spend a lot of time deconstructing reality, taking it apart, understanding it as no singular entity, no stagnant thing, right? And then there's the constructive element of it, right? We study texts on Buddha nature, and we start to assert that there's a fundamental nature within us. And so in this way, the Prajñāpāramitā literature and the Diamond Sutra acts as this bridge. And so for us, it's about finding a balance. It's about noticing and monitoring within our own, psychophysical beings, what's happening. Are we falling more into an extreme of assertion and there being something existent? Or are we falling into an extreme of nihilism and saying there's nothing there? And so the Prajñāpāramitā helps us bridge this and find that balance that is so crucial to progressing on the path. So for the sake of time, I'm going to end with a short story from my day yesterday. Those of you who know me know that I have two lovely young boys, 3 and 7. And we were talking about magic. And my older son said, "Dad, what it really is magic?" And I was fumbling around to do this. And it was, in fact, in a podcast that he likes to listen to. And the host said, magic is like as if a poem had a kitchen. And I think that's really indicative of what the Prajñāpāramitā literature is doing. It's questioning our frame of reference. And he looked at me and he said, "Dad, what does that mean? A poem has a kitchen." That's what the Prajñāpāramitā is doing, though. It's deconstructing, it's taking apart any frame of reference that we're relying on and bringing into question that way of being. So I'll end there, and hopefully it was useful, but I'll say thank you once again for being here. Thank you to Mingyur Rinpoche. Thank you to all of you for attending, and hope to see you soon.
Thank you, Justin. Thank you for your insightful reflections. It is inspiring to see how the intellectual understanding of profound Buddhist teachings can be integrated into our daily life experience. And unfortunately, we won't have time for Q&A today, but hopefully in the near future, we will have the auspicious conditions to host another event where Khenpo and our faculty can share more teachings and insights. To conclude today's session, let us welcome Tundma Kunsang Palmo to lead a guided meditation. Tundma is a longtime student of Mingyur Rinpoche and serves as a contemplative faculty at Tergar Institute. She took ordination in 2010 and later completed a traditional 3-year meditation retreat at Shirapling Monastery in northern India under Mingyur Rinpoche's guidance. She is also a senior meditation instructor of the Tergar Joy of Living program and the Vajrana online courses. Over to you, Tundma.
Thank you, Kayim. Thank you. So as Kayim's already shared, we'll do a little bit of practice now. And we thought it would be wonderful to pick up on this theme of the 5 excellences. So in this practice, we're really going to just imagine that we're traveling back in time to the time of the Buddha and just visualizing ourselves as if we're receiving these teachings directly from him. So beginning as always, just getting a comfortable posture where the spine is gently upright and just allowing the mind and the body to relax together. You might feel the heaviness of the body, the contact with the chair or the cushion. Or maybe the body feels light. The body could feel warm or cool. And so based on the body, you might feel sensations, maybe feelings of pleasant sensations, unpleasant sensations, or sensations that are neither pleasant nor unpleasant. And seeing how these sensations are constantly shifting. There might be thoughts arising in the mind. The mind might be wandering into the past or into the future. And now reflect on emptiness. Your body is based on particles and time. And yet particles and time are baseless. They lack any inherent essence. Your body is emptiness. Yet it's not nothing. Emptiness is the body. The body is emptiness. Because time and matter are emptiness, you're not trapped in existence. Yet you're not lost in nothingness. You can manifest as yourself with senses, a body, feelings, and mind, just like a dream. And now imagine that in front of you is the Buddha, radiant yet empty, like the moon's reflection in a lake. Imagine that you're sitting amongst a gathering of Sangha, fellow devotees. And imagine that you ask the Buddha, what is the most important teaching for finding true happiness, for liberation from samsara, for bringing all beings to enlightenment? And imagine that the Buddha smiles and offers a teaching on bodhicitta. In this moment, the 5 excellences are complete. The perfect teacher, the perfect students, the perfect environment, the excellent time. Yet all of this too is emptiness, like a dream. And now let go of the visualization, let go of concepts, and just simply rest in awareness. Open, spacious, and clear. Nothing to cling to, nothing to reject. Just simply be. If you've had your eyes closed, if you'd like to gently open them. And so before we bring this wonderful session to a close, and before we dedicate the merit from listening to this transmission and hearing Rinpoche's teachings, I'd just like to say a few words inviting you, welcoming you to be a part of this community. I'd like to encourage you to consider joining the Foundation of Buddhist Experience. Maybe you'd be interested in traveling with us on a pilgrimage to Tibet, or even offering your support in whatever feels right for you. However you'd like to connect, we hope our shared journey can bring greater clarity, compassion, and joy. So before we dedicate the merit, just to mention, George will share the slides again at the end of this program, so you can find the QR code to get information on our offerings. And we'd really love to hear from you and stay connected. So just imagining now the time again of the Buddha and how much joy the Sangha would have experienced receiving and practicing these teachings. Just bringing to mind how precious it is to contemplate bodhicitta, to contemplate emptiness. And just arousing the aspiration that any merit that's come from practicing together, from studying, from just having even a simple interest in listening to these teachings, may this goodness ripple out into the world. May we create, accumulate the merit to truly recognize emptiness. Prajñāpāramitā. So thank you everyone for joining. Thank you Khenpo Gyurme, Joseph, Justin and George, co-executive directors. Thank you Kaim and the tech support folks behind the scenes, and wishing you all a wonderful day, a wonderful evening, wherever you are. Take care everyone, and we look forward to hearing from you soon. Bye-bye.